Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Movie Creepers. In today's video, we're diving into the two latest episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, episodes 9 and 10, where things get intense, mysterious, and downright crazy. We've got villains, new alliances, time travel, and a whole lot more. So, grab your web shooters, because we're swinging straight into the action. Before we jump into the exploration, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future videos. Thank you. Let's begin. Episode 9. Let's start with Episode 9, which opens with a scene that is both hilarious and kind of ominous. Otto Octavius, the brilliant but bitter scientist, is in prison, and he's absolutely losing it over the Sokovia Accords. Why? Because of all the typos, grammatical errors, and poorly worded statements. Seriously, who knew Otto cared so much about punctuation? But his rant is cut short when he's visited by none other than Norman Osborn, the genius CEO of Oscorp. And this interaction? Well, it's as tense as it gets. Norman spends the whole meeting gloating about how Oscorp has moved on without Otto, taking control of his tech and continuing to make advancements. Otto is understandably furious, and you can just feel the heat building up. But before things get even more heated, Otto's dragged back to his cell, humiliated, and ready to plot his next move. Meanwhile, outside the prison walls, Nico and Pearl are having some well-deserved girl time in the city. They're chatting over boba, trying to unwind, when suddenly chaos breaks loose. The 110th Street Gang is making a move on Otto's old tech. They chase down an Oscorp truck carrying his inventions, and what follows is a high-speed chase through the streets of New York. Nico, distracted by Peter's voicemail, ends up right in the truck's path. But just before disaster strikes, Spider-Man swoops in his iconic red and blue suit and stops the truck with his sheer strength. It's a classic Spidey moment. He saves Nico, webs up the gang members, and handles the situation like the hero we all know and love. But then, Scorpion shows up, sporting a new mask and ready to cause some serious damage. The fight escalates quickly, with Scorpion going hard on the 110th gang, even pinning Big Donovan to the ground, nearly killing him. But Spider-Man isn't about to let that slide and rescues Donovan just in time. At this point, Donovan has seen enough. He's witnessed his gang getting wrecked by Scorpion, and he's not sticking around for more. He decides to cut and run, leaving Lonnie to handle the rest. Lonnie, being the tough guy that he is, barrels towards the Oscorp truck to find a weapon that might give them the upper hand. But instead, he gets doused with some mysterious gas. Spider-Man rushes to save him, and in the process, Lonnie grabs an electrified rod to try and hold his own against Scorpion. But Scorpion, as powerful as ever, breaks the rod with his tail. Then something incredible happens. The gas, which was meant to be a weapon, actually gives Lonnie powers. That's right. Lonnie, aka Tombstone, now has the impenetrable skin and superhuman strength of his comic counterpart. Without the albino look, Spider-Man and Tombstone team up to take on Scorpion in a high-stakes battle. It's a total powerhouse fight, with Spidey and Tombstone working together to take down the villain. But just when it looks like they've won, Scorpion drops a massive pile of construction girders on top of Lonnie. This is where things get dark. Spidey, fueled by anger, nearly crosses the line and goes too far. He's about to end Scorpion for good, but Tombstone, now with his new powers, manages to stop Spider-Man. He convinces him to not throw away his morals. After all, Spider-Man's supposed to be a symbol of hope, not vengeance. It's a tense moment, and Spider-Man backs down, realizing Tombstone is right. Later that night, Peter's at home with Aunt May, watching The Bachelor. Don't ask me why, it's just a thing they do. That's when Norman Osborn calls him, thanking him for stopping Scorpion and making sure the Octavius tech didn't fall into the wrong hands. But there's something unsettling about Norman's words. He praises Peter for his moral compass, but you can't help but feel like Norman might be planting the seeds for something darker down the line. The episode ends with Norman turning his attention to something much more sinister. Oscorp scientists working on Spider-Man's DNA and Otto's glider tech. Could this be setting up something big for the future? I think so. Episode 10. Now, moving on to Episode 10, things take a bit of a more school-centric turn, but don't be fooled. This episode still has some serious twists. We start off at Rockford T. Bales High, where the football coach is still salty about the team's recent loss, which gives us a nice little glimpse into the world of high school drama. Over in Mr. Taylor's science class, Pearl and Emma are waiting for Peter to show up with their diorama project. Of course, Peter being Peter, shows up late, dressed as Spider-Man, no less, but manages to get there just in time. However, the diorama? It's completely ruined, but luckily, Emma's knowledge saves the day. The team still manages to score an A despite the mishap. Things get a little more intense when we head over to Oscorp, where Norman Osborn gathers his interns, including Peter, to show off something new. He's been working on an experimental interstellar gateway, something that could potentially change the course of science and exploration forever. His plan? To harvest resources from other galaxies and use them to protect Earth. No need for the Avengers. But as is always the case with Norman, things go south quickly. Just when Norman's about to fire up the portal, Dr. Strange suddenly warps in through one of his portals, and the tension is palpable. Peter, recognizing him from the Midtown attack, is on edge. But Strange seems unaware of what's happened, and things escalate even further when Norman attempts to demonstrate the gateway and accidentally unleashes the symbiote monster from episode 1. Strange and Spidey team up to contain the creature, but things go awry. The fight sends both Spider-Man and the creature into the dark dimension, and that's where things get really crazy. Using a time travel spell, Strange tries to move the creature back in time to its point of origin. However, in the process, Spidey ends up taking a little detour himself. He finds himself back on his first day at Midtown High, right where it all started, next to the genetically altered spider from Oscorp, the one that gave him his powers in the first place. That's right, this is a stable time loop, folks. Back in the present, Spider-Man finally helps Strange bring the creature back to its time, but not without a little more chaos. The creature's symbiote siblings pop up, and it's a real mess. Eventually, with some help from Spidey, Strange manages to send the creature back through the portal and shut it down. The danger is averted, but the implications of messing with time are far from over. Now, let's talk about what happens next. Back at the apartment, Peter, Nico, and Harry are all watching the news about the lab incident. Peter loved the science behind the internship, but he's not sure he can trust Norman or Oscorp after everything that went down. Harry, though, has an idea. He's going to start his own company, separate from Oscorp. One where they can do the things they want to do without being exploited. And who's going to be a part of it? Well, it looks like Peter, Asha, Amadeus, and even Max Dillon, aka Electro, are all on board. This is the birth of the Worldwide Engineering Brigade, or WEB for short. Jean, who's been on her own path this whole time, also gets involved in a major way. She suits up as the vigilante Finesse and teams up with Daredevil. It turns out she's the one who had him break into Oscorp in episode 6. Meanwhile, Lonnie, who's clearly going through a transformation himself, decides to ditch the 110th Street gang and embrace his new powers. But he's not done with the criminal life just yet. He's got some plans of his own. The season ends with a lot of mystery. Norman sneaks into the lab to collect a small piece of the symbiote, and Nico, using her magical necklace, communes with her mother's ghost. And then, boom, the cliffhanger. Aunt May visits a mysterious prisoner who turns out to be Richard Parker, Peter's long-lost father. All he says is, "How's my son doing?" Talk about a twist. And that's where we leave things as Spider-Man swings through the city one last time before the season ends. What's next for Peter? Will he stick with Oscorp? Will the Web team be able to fight back against Norman's machinations? There's a lot to look forward to in the next season. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until next time, keep swinging.